Charles, thank you very much. But as I was about to say, are you hungry? As before Charles rudely interrupted. Well, I hope so, because soul food and funk are on the menu. Think chicken steaks, music, and all things Southern. But don't think America, because this year, the 8th annual Southern Fried Festival is coming to us from Perth, Scotland. On Friday the 31st of July, over 3 jam-packed days, the festival celebrates the very best in Americana. The lineup covers all the roots music, from bluegrass to soul to country, rock and gospel. Headliners confirmed for the 8th installment include 5-piece band Punch Brothers and Rhiannon Giddens. Well, joining me in this studio is anthropologist and culinary historian Peggy Brunache, who also advises the festival on its cuisine. Hello.
Hello.
So tell me, how did you get involved with the festival?
Well, the festival creator, Andy Shearer, asked me to participate because he knew that not only do I love food, but I love making it and helping people to understand its connections to history without boring them to death.
Well, fingers crossed we can keep that that straight up. What I really want to know is, when we talk about Southern food, or maybe soul food, for those who don't know, what exactly is it?
Okay, there's one of those things that is soul food, Southern food, and is Southern food soul food? Yes and no.
Okay.
It gets complicated. But soul food is an aspect of Southern cuisine in America. But it doesn't necessarily mean it covers the gambit, because Tex-Mex, which you will find out in Texas, and connected to Mexico, isn't necessarily connected to soul food. So when we think of soul food, most of the time we think of it as a legacy, a culinary legacy left over from slavery.
So the big question is then, is Southern food a black food?
Southern food, part of it is a black food, because not everyone in the South that was born and raised or moved or migrated to the South was black. Many were, but many weren't. So yes and no.
It's interesting. Could you almost say that this is perhaps, if you can, a positive legacy of the slave trade?
Definitely so, because despite the fact that the arduous lives that they had to lead, and unfortunately quite meager servings they were given, they put their heart and souls into it to not just line their bellies, but to fill their hearts.
That's absolutely lovely. I really love the way you said that. When we talk about sort of some of the cuts they use and the types of food, obviously we hear things like, pig trotters,
yes,
or, bits of offal and so on and so forth. Now, I guess, going back to this thing about the slave trade, was that because the main cuts available to them were these sort of off-cuts as slaves?
Right. The main cuts that they were allowed to have was either salted pork or beef. Often, if they did have fresh meat, it would be that was given to them, provised for them by the planter class, would be the offal, the trotters, the snouts that the planter family was not consuming. Otherwise, they would have to hunt or fish for their animal protein.
Now, I'm going to just sideline. We're going to talk about this in a bit more later on, but just quickly, we do have a couple of dishes here. So what have we got here and here?
What I wanted to do is I wanted to bring in 2 dishes that were connected as soul food, but coming from very different areas of the world. What we have here is a traditional green gumbo. That the word gumbo is a Senegambian word. It means okra, or I think you call them ladyfingers here often. And this is peach cobbler, which is a throwback to the suet and steamed puddings of stewed fruit that came from Britain.
Absolutely brilliant. We're gonna hopefully have a taste of these in a little while. Going back to the Southern Fried Festival,
yes.
So how do you try and incorporate this this Southern food and Southern style in somewhere like Scotland?
When most people think of Southern food, the first thing they're going to think of, especially when they see the title Southern Fried, is they're going to think fried chicken. And that normally jumps off to KFC. But it's so much more richer and deeper than that. So yes, while there is fried chicken, it's going to be the full gambit of the different kinds of regional specialties. For example, most people know of barbecue sauce, but it's always that deep red kind. There's so much more than that. Southern Fried Music Festival offers the opportunity to have the the South Carolinian mustard versions or the Virginia vinegar versions, as well as the traditional kinds that you know.
Absolutely fantastic. So how many years have you actually been working with the festival? Because I know it's in its eighth year now, is that right?
Yes,
yeah.
I've been working with them ever since it started.
Cool. Well done. You must be proud to see it grow.
I am.
Well, I've noticed it was 3 days. So there's, I mean, we do have to highlight that this is also a music festival.
Yes, yes. It's one of those funny festivals where you could come for the music, stay for the food, or come for the food and stay for the music. It complements each other quite nicely because it's the only festival of its kind in Britain that, while it's highlighting and honoring and celebrating American roots music, it's also doing the same for Southern cuisine.
Absolutely fantastic. I'm so glad they got you on board with this, and I love the way that you talk about food because it's very passionate and lovely to have. Just, we have to talk about the details of the festival. So
yes.
If someone wants to go, where is it, and when are tickets on sale, and when is it, of course?
Well, the website has just launched today. In fact, I believe it started at 1. So you can go online, just Google Southern Fried Music Festival, Perth, Scotland, and you can get all the information. It's in Perth. It's always in Perth. It's a small festival that keeps growing by leaps and bounds. It's one of those interesting festivals where you'll have these big names like Roseanne Cash or Lucinda Williams, but then at the same time, there are these offshoots of smaller, more private sessions, and then the nighttime stuff gets really crazy.
Tell me a little bit about the crazy. Can we find you on the dance floor there having a good old boogie?
Yeah, yeah, with a drumstick in my hand too. Like everyone else.
I do think it's interesting, though, that somewhere like Scotland has this incredibly, a particular part of American culture, this festival that celebrates that. How did that come into being?
I think it's because there is a connection to a lot of the American roots music to Scottish music and Irish music, especially what moved to the Appalachian Mountains and what we developed into bluegrass. And it started from there, and it was, why not do more? Why not bring more people that highlight this?
Now, I can't actually bear it any longer. I need to try some of this food.
Okay.
But I know that there's 2 other people in the studio, which of course is Vanessa and Charles,
yes.
our anchors, who probably want to do it. So we're going to literally walk through the studio.
Okay.
If you want to bear with me, I'll take these ones. Oh, this is the cobbler, isn't it?
Yes.
Yep, okay. Take that over.
All right.
We've got a treat for you guys.
Walking and talking.
Yep.
Can you believe it?
I was going to say, you're not trying that without us. We've been listening intently and salivating. That smells amazing.
Now, that looks really good.
Look
a bit of a, This is sweet, isn't it?
Yes, but okay, so one of the things I wanted to bring to mind is that when most people think of soul food, if they've traveled to the States, is the idea that it's always fattening, overfried, horrible, unhealthy. That's not necessarily true.
Cornbread and all that sort of thing.
Right, but it's not necessarily true. It's an aspect. For example,
this is vegan, right?
This gumbo is a green gumbo, that you would see in Louisiana.
Right.
Cajuns make it, the Creoles make it.
So that's okra there,
There's okra in it. There's there are mustard greens and collard greens, and it's actually
that's very West African, isn't it?
Yes.
Guys, do you want to grab a spoon as well?
And is this the kind of, is this sort of recipe passed down from mother to children?
Yes, yes, and from restaurants. Go ahead. You have to try
Come on.
One of us has to have an empty mouth to be able to keep talking.
While we're eating,
and this one is quite healthy, so I wanted you
quite nice, quite nice and spicy.
Yes, there's a spice to it, but it's very healthy. It's actually
a little bit slimy as well. I suppose the okra does that, doesn't it? Yeah,
there's the okra, but this one is made with a root.
Oh.
That's very West African.
Yes.
Yeah, because I know this, okra sort of soup and all of that.
Okay. I've had 2 mouthfuls already. What about this one? This is the cobbler. Now, is this like a crumble?
It's.
You want to try one, Charles?
I suppose you could say
this is what I'm looking for. Because I love sweet things, I'm afraid.
It's a descendant of the crumbles, the stewed puddings.
Now, that is good.
What is that? What is that?
That is
That
absolutely...
is peach cobbler.
But what's the spice in it? Or
there is cinnamon, there's
That is
vanilla.
delicious.
Oh, my
That's
God.
delicious.
Can I have the rest of this?
Yes, you may.
If you don't mind.
I warn you, this is why we say come for the music, but stay for the food, or
Now,
come for the
this
food
is
and
good.
stay for the music.
Have you written this
I
down?
mean-
You need to write a recipe book.
I'm a real...
Yes, that's
That's the next thing, isn't it?
I can't say goodbye.
I'm going to say goodbye. I'm going to stop eating now so I can say goodbye.
Brilliant.
Thank you so much. Good luck with it all.
That's all we have time for today. So from me...
Yeah, and from me, and from all of us here,
including
have
Peggy.
a lovely weekend.
Yeah, thanks very much.